In this video, I'll make a lot of statements in the second person, but know that all of these things I'm talking about are things that I want to talk about because I am actively dealing with them. In any of these statements, you can replace you for I. I just don't want to sound like I'm only talking about myself here. Also, while I am talking within the context of art, I'm talking about an experience shared by any professional or entrepreneur who has ever posted anything online with the end goal of self-promotion. First off, a little backstory. I, like anyone else, am just trying to find my place in the world. Sounds sad for a 27-year-old to be saying that, but for anyone who has lived as long or longer than me, I think you understand what I mean when I say that 20s aren't usually the most productive years. It's a lot of figuring things out, figuring out career, family, yourself. It's a lot of big question marks that I know I didn't have the answers to when I entered adulthood. I was always a firm believer in doing what you love, melding career and lifestyle into one, and being true to yourself and to who you are. I would scoff at the money-chasing counting majors in college, which now, being 6 feet under in bills, sounds hilariously narrow-minded to me, but I digress. While I always believed in doing what you love, and still do, mind you, finding something I genuinely loved proved difficult for me. Same for a lot of you, I assume. I fumbled around different jobs and projects for the better part of my 20s, but after a whole lot of searching, I can now tell you guys that I for sure love art. More specifically, I love creating. Art is just the avenue through which I prefer to create. This discovery came rather abruptly via an invitation from my wife to write my own comic. It was half in jest, but something was flipped on in my brain that evening that hasn't turned off since. Writing my own world, designing my own characters, just creating in general. It felt like I was born to do it. I can honestly say I hadn't felt that excited about life before. Where things used to seem bleak, I was now excited about my prospective future as an artist and a writer. I kept up my own private project for years, anxiously awaiting the day I would expose my talent to the world. Sounds corny, doesn't it? But this is similar to the narrative we all have had from time to time playing in our heads. I don't feel I have the biggest ego, or at least I'm pretty good at masking it, but any creative needs to be at least a little delusional. Dedication and illusion, a recipe for success in many a case, and I definitely had both. Then I started posting online. You're always told to keep your expectations in check, to recognize reality and bridle the fantasy. You've been warned of the beast that is the internet, with all the critics, naysayers, the metrics, the algorithm, nasty words within the creative community. But as much as you're told, some part of you always imagines a reality where you are the exception. We humans just can't shake the idea that the world revolves around us. Even if we refute it on paper, it's like it's in our nature or something. I'm going to go ahead and trust in statistical probability for this next one and tell you that you aren't the exception. I know that many will ignore this, but even if you choose to, you will learn it sooner or later. Now, hold on though. Let me follow that rather cold statement by saying that I am not speaking from a high place, if you couldn't tell by the fact that this is a tiny-ass channel. If I've learned anything from sharing my art and my creations online, it's that I am also not the exception. I think I'm talented, which could just be my delusion showing, but I also bet that a lot of you are too. But here's a fact. Talent does not equate to going viral, breaking the algorithm, catching instant fire like some cosmic deity descending upon mortals. The thing is, the internet isn't waiting for you. The world isn't waiting for you. It's not reserving your spot, yelling at everyone that, hey, sorry, there's been a lack of content because we're all anxiously awaiting the arrival of this new VIP comic, artist, business, whatever. There is no VIP ticket to the internet, especially not for a nameless creator. And thinking that the internet will come to a halt and scooch over to make room for you upon your arrival isn't just delusion, It's arrogance. And arrogance will kill a creative. Everyone's attention is already held by a plethora of things, and it takes more than talent to get them to make room for you in their lives. But if you've clicked on this video, there's a good chance you might be a little down in the dumps, like I've recently been, having faced rejection after rejection and finding it impossible to ignore the lack of likes, comments, favorites, heck, lack of any engagement at all on your passion project. So I don't mean to beat a dead horse, throw salt on the wound, or otherwise. I simply mean to paint a picture of reality so we can effectively plan to counteract the soul-sucking process that is going public with your work. Because, oh yeah, posting online can prove to be a soul-sucking, arrow to the knee, kick you while you're down, dream killing type of an experience. Over the time I've started posting my work online, I've noticed my passion, my dedication, and my confidence about my own artistic ability diminish at a steady rate. I was starting to feel like I wasn't enjoying creating the same way I was before. I couldn't take my attention away from the fact that I was being largely ignored online. What? But I'm good. I'm talented, aren't I? My comic is awesome, isn't it? I'm posting regularly, I'm adding hashtags. Surely anyone who stumbled upon my work would be drawn in, right? I deserve fans. I'm getting gypped. The algorithm is screwing me. This kind of self-entitled thought begins to creep up the more you post online, whether it remains a conversation you keep to yourself, like in my case, or if you begin to externalize it and begin to pity post, something my pride would never let me do, though perhaps my pride has been reduced enough since an argument could be made that this is a pity video. I will clarify, however, that I'm not making this video in search of your pity. I genuinely am trying to make useful videos for creatives and others who could also be struggling with this. And just for the record, I'm one of those people that, quote, doesn't care about stuff, that operates independently of others' opinions or criticisms. But there's a certain vulnerability that exists, even for people like me, when it comes to your passion project. I know that I've never put myself out there as much as I have for this art dream of mine. But you gotta. There's no way around it. You can't keep your art, your writing, your ideas to yourself forever if you ever want them to become something. $1 million idea can't make $1 million in one man's head. And so you do post online, you start self-promoting, climbing up that mountain, and that's when you hit it, what I am dubbing the great artist's filter. The filter that separates the successful and the unsuccessful. Because the difference between these two groups isn't as much talent or luck or timing or hashtagging properly as it is persistence. Most of the successful people you look up to got there by constantly pushing and asking and pushing and fighting over and over in an almost endless cycle because they're just that dedicated and that delusional. And they don't stop because they love what they are doing. You don't stop and check to see if people approve of you eating cake or watching TV or playing video games. You just do it because you love it. All else be damned. Your project's gotta be on that level. Art's gotta be your cake. The world doesn't make space for you. You demand that space or you make it for yourself. But if you're embarking on this journey, you best be sure your ship is seaworthy, which is an analogous way to say that your work, the work you plan on carrying you to the top, better be quality and worthy of the attention you're demanding. You may have to fail a few times. Nay, you probably will have to fail a few times before your work is even at that level where it could potentially carry you all the way. But that won't be a problem if you love doing it. All of this is a long-winded way for me to say that I am pushing through this great art filter in the present moment and am declaring my newfound dedication to the craft. I'm rediscovering the love for the process and giving my answer to the question that every artist will have to ask themselves. Would you do this even if you were never successful? Would you continue to create if no fame or recognition ever came? Because creating is just who you are? And If your answer to that question is no, then at least in the present moment, you probably don't have what it takes to pass through the filter. Hey, I'm barely scraping by myself. It's a struggle for all of us. It's a daily decision. And if posting online is taking too much of your attention, and it is affecting your mental health, your performance, or the quality of your work, then maybe you do need to distance yourself for a bit. Clear out your mind, or just set limits for yourself. Like, don't allow yourself to check social media more than once a day, or something. Or like in my case, delete YouTube Creator Studio so you're not hyper fixating on meaningless numbers that don't actually tell you anything useful. All of this is a means to get in the right headspace and reignite that passion for your project, whether it be a comic, a light novel, an indie game, or a business endeavor. After sulking for a while, that's where I'm at right now, reigniting the creative flames and recommitting to my goals. And my hope is that some of it rubs off on you through this video, and that you don't throw in the towel. Keep your project moving. Keep your dream alive. The internet will kick your butt from time to time, but a little butt kicking won't ever stop a true creative from doing what they love. I also want to take an opportunity to say thank you to anybody who has supported me in any way along this path. I'm very grateful for that, and I am currently pushing to be more productive as an artist than ever, with a number of things under my belt and projects, including my very first art commissions that I'm going to begin accepting, as well as finishing up chapters for my comic Starfire Helios and working on short stories that I plan on submitting to multiple manga creation competitions. Please feel free to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on this topic, or if this is something you've struggled with, or just share with me what you're currently working on. I would love for you to be able to share that with me. Those types of comments really lift my spirits. Thank you and have a wonderful day.